This presentation visually outlines my preparation and development to undertake professional development at South Perth Primary School. Below is the link to the PDF presentation, which is also in the description of the YouTube video to allow marking. Throughout this unit, I've used the Gibbs reflective cycle to develop from describing my learning to critically analysing my thinking and teaching practices. By reflecting on my emotions, values, beliefs, and educational theories, I've gained a deeper understanding of how these influence my planning and decision making. This process has strengthened my metacognitive awareness, enabling me to move from a novice learner towards applying theory and practice and preparing with greater confidence for my placement. In this slide is the copy from my PDF of the full lesson plan. The lesson plan uses worked examples and the gradual release of responsibility to support the students from novice learning to mastery. In novice stage, learning is broken down into chunks through explicit teaching, reading of the text, modelling, and small group discussions. A worked example and graphic organiser template help the students understand the learning objective and make connections to the text. Stage 2 is the developmental stage. Students are supported with scaffolding, sentence starters, vocab lists, teacher questioning, and linking the story to their own experiences. The graphic organiser guides their thinking while the teacher supports with gradually reducing support and allowing them to undertake it independently. The mastery stage is where the students will independently reflect and discuss and collaborate in the small mixed groups as outlined in the attached document. The completed graphic organiser is submitted at the end of the lesson as an exit ticket and demonstrates the achievement of the learning objective. The lesson aligns with Core Content Standard 1.3 by sequence teaching to support students from novice to independent learners. The lesson begins with direct instruction, explicit teaching, modelling and scaffolding, and is presented in manageable chunks. The students access the story through multiple formats. They've got a hard copy, a video and digital text in line with Universal Design for Learning. The graphic organiser helps the students identify character experiences before connecting these to their own experiences through collaborative discussion. As students gain confidence, the teacher support is gradually withdrawn and the release of scaffolding and the encouragement of independence and deeper engagement in the learning. 3.1 is creating safe and supportive learning environments. Aligns with Core Standard 3.1 by using routines, explicit teaching, scaffolding to create a safe and respectful environment. The lesson begins with clear expectations and explicit instructions. Differentiation and multimodal learning opportunities support the students with a range of needs from the novice to the advanced learner. Students would work in mixed ability groups, allowing to use their strengths and collaborate effectively while building respectful relationships. Throughout the lesson, the teacher would provide feedback, reinforcement and scaffolding, and they will be gradually reduced as the student develops understanding and can confidently and independently complete the graphic organiser. The Gibbs reflective cycle meta-reflection. I've given an overall view of, at the beginning, the first several weeks, I was extremely busy in my personal life and didn't have time to put in the amount of effort that was required. So it was very basic. It was just descriptions and feelings. And as time progressed, I did use the cycle to evaluate, analyse and conclude and implement action plans with the SMART goals. The descriptions and feelings, I use the Gibbs reflective cycle to develop them significantly throughout the unit. My week 1 reflection was brief, and during this time I also developed the SMART goals and created a student profile demonstrating my growth and understanding of lesson planning. My emotions also evolved throughout the process. I began feeling very overwhelmed and frustrated as my understanding increased, I became curious and more comfortable with the learning process. By the end of the unit, I felt confident and satisfied with my project progress, showing development on my reflective practice and preparation for placement. In this slide, I have got my week 1 reflection compared to my week 6. I've got my overall SMART goal, and I've got the progressions of how I felt and my selected content descriptor and the profile that I created, which is also in the lesson plan. When I got to the analysis and evaluation stage, my thinking shifted from designing activities to intentionally planning for how students would learn. I use mixed ability groups to activate prior knowledge, and a graphic organiser to scaffold their learning, and continually refine these resources over the weeks of the unit to better align with the learning objective and individual student needs. Through the learning theories, I developed a deeper understanding of memory, differentiation and reinforcement, and I now recognise that reinforcement supports not only behaviour management but is also used for student engagement and motivation. Reflecting on my own learning, I created a SWOT analysis as an artefact to increase my self-awareness and to be more prepared for my placement. Overall, I now understand that effective teaching extends beyond lesson delivery and requires ongoing planning, reflection, and adaptation to meet diverse needs of all learners. My conclusion and action plan, I have created 2 goals that are in line with SMART goals, and they have the aim of supporting teaching strategies, routines, and by the end of placement, I also have learnt that I can assess the students with character need tables, and that was a very beneficial tool to understand the students better, what they need, and to ensure engagement and participation. My reflection has been informed by the 2 SMART goals for this placement. First, I developed them through understanding the school's positive behaviour flow chart so I can respond consistently to behavioural challenges. Second, recognising that over 57% of the students in South Perth Primary School speak an additional language at home, I would implement the positive relationship policy by using clear communication, visual supports and modelling to build an inclusive classroom for all English and additional language learners. These goals demonstrate I've applied reflection and practical strategies for my professional placement. And finally, I have an appendix of my artefacts that are in my PDF document, and also the references from the unit that were utilised.